When my wife and I started out, we started out of a necessity. The small company called Nascon Designs, actually doing digitisation. I met another gentleman who had an electronics company, and out of a mechanical company and electronics company was born a automation company. It was very, very difficult in the beginning, trying to find a path in this new South Africa. It was all new. So the motor car companies were exporting vehicles, but we were having great trouble doing so with the quality standards that we had in South Africa before. So we had to come up with new ideas.
And pretty much that's where we saw the gap in the market and started bringing in automated solutions to assist the operators then in producing a quality part. We had to very quickly understand what the international market was asking for.
I have to start off with the first job for a Mercedes-Benz product. Also one of the most embarrassing situations. We bought the machine and couldn't get it out the door of the office in which we had built it, so we had to deconstruct the door. We nearly broke the customer's back because we didn't have a forklift. 3 other guys, including myself, picked it up onto the back of a bucket. So I was amazed that they actually came back to us after that. People like Mercedes-Benz all of a sudden saw the quality of the testing that we could do on a very, very small budget.
And then in the early 2000s, that's when I became a director, and we realized that things had to become a little bit more, I'm going to say, professional as opposed to hobby. We were just a bunch of engineers that was running a business. Costs and those types of things weren't foremost in our minds. It wasn't about the money, it was about the engineering.
When I joined them in 2003, they were just coming out of a really bad financial period where they'd actually retrenched a whole lot of people and they were financially in distress.
We've been through several recessions before. That one was by far one of the worst that we've had.
I think I joined in 2004 in September. Less than 6 months later, they started retrenching. And I thought to myself, well, it's been a good 6 months.
When Ziggs entered the fold, started realizing why it wasn't getting anywhere, and that's where he started implementing financial principles. And financial principles and engineering principles don't always gel well. There was a few debates in the beginning.
But we have learned that these things will come and go. Okay, it's how to plan, and that financial planning that Siegfried has brought into it to sustain us in those times have been critical.
One of the amazing things about what Graeme is doing from an operational perspective is that he's able to see the opportunities when we have lots of work, as well as able to see the opportunities when we don't have work, to continuously improve.
We eventually consolidated into a team of the 4 of us. We decided, right, if this is a team that's going forward, this is a team that's got to work. Understanding each other's roles, the wheels stopped spinning and we actually started making progress.
In 2011, became a world leader very quickly to build the first shrinker assembly line for the catalytic converter. Other people thought was impossible. We could build what we now term building blocks. These sub-modules which are very flexible, scalable, the manual assembly line all the way through to a semi-automated, with Volkswagen completely autonomous assembly lines.
2012 led into us getting an order for an engine assembly line in India. 20% of the actual work needed to be localized. September 2013, landed there in Pune. I still remember to this day coming out of the airport in Pune, and there's just people everywhere, but there was an energy about it. There was something really positive that you could feel. After spending the week or the 10 days in India and actually looking at the size of the place, what was going on there, when I came back to South Africa, I said to the other guys, there's an opportunity here for us, because we had the typical German and American companies that were setting up shop there, and they had their preferred suppliers. So when they were looking to tool up a plant, they would get suppliers to quote on their facilities. So the German supplier would come in, for example, at 100 cost-wise. The Indian supplier would come in at 50. The Indian supplier would be excluded because technically they wouldn't meet the specification. Exactly how we got the VW order, because we've done good work for VW here in South Africa and in Mexico. We were able to meet the technical specification and come in at a price at 80. And I knew the companies in India, they were looking, there was pressure on them to localize. So I said to them, well, why don't we use the money as like a reverse acquisition? And that's how we started India. We got another order at VW India and at Audi. We expanded very quickly. We grew the business from 15 people to almost 400 people now. In 2016, Manchu, who was working at VW at the time, actually gave us our first order. I managed to convince him to come across and to be our head of sales and business development. I kind of had him earmarked in my mind. I felt it would be perfect for the business.
Himanshu is doing firstly a tremendous job. From an engineering point of view, developed so much that they are leading the way in the EV markets.
And then when we went to India, we found out that they were on a totally different level and a different way of executing engineering principles and that type of thing.
The business has always been financed internally, either with our money or with what we could make in the business. We would reinvest it. And up until this day, we've been there for 10 years in India. We haven't taken 1 cent out of India. Figured out that if we set up a purchasing hub in Germany, that we'd actually get the stuff cheaper. Then we also had to establish a service office because we had all these lines in Europe that we needed to look after, and our customers wanted us there within an hour. Set up an office in Penzing, just outside Munich, where we had service, purchasing and sales office. Quinton had also moved to Germany, spent 2 years in Germany, so that made a big difference.
And I think Quinton is so fundamental in setting the culture of the organization, and sometimes to our detriment, but Quinton would never compromise on the engineering excellence of a machine or a product that we're putting out there.
Yes, I think there is a recipe. We don't give up.
Stick to the right principles. It's like anything in life. Choose a few in your life and stick to them. The engineering is very much the same.
And I think the ethos of our business is that we see problems and we get excited in trying to solve them.
We get told no, we pivot and we try another angle.
I will say this, I'm extremely proud of our South African resilience and that ability to make a plan. What we do as a business in this high-end market, what does that say about the potential of our people out there? What does it say about giving those people an opportunity?
There was a big drive from the South African automotive industry to start exporting, and part of that came strict requirement on tracking and traceability. And that became pretty challenging because we have uneducated people that are not able to read and write. And because there was a high variation of product, every product was different, and so we started the journey on digital work instructions. So as the product came into the station, we would identify what it is and present the right set of pictures to the operator.
That was Yanesh's brainchild with Industry 4.0. Had this real vision for this technology and software that we'd kind of been doing anyway.
And fundamentally what we've done with ODIN and all of the ODIN products is to try and fill that gap between quality, productivity and skills available to perform those tasks. And interestingly, what we thought was a South African problem is a global problem. So you have the same problems in India, China, Germany, France, the USA, Brazil. They have the same problems.
Yes, the passion we have for the business and engineering, but also we're a company with purpose. We've chosen how we're going to make a difference by leading tech in South Africa for the manufacturing sector to overcome the other challenges like we have in our country, like education.
A lot of people ask me, how is an education business in a digital manufacturing business or an automation business? And the reality is the technology is pretty much applicable in all industries. As you can see in the wall behind me, we have countless stories. It's almost every child we talk to has passion, has creativity, has curiosity, and the tragedy is that the education system beats it out of them. And we just felt that digital technology can change that, making sure that we use digital tech to provide children with technology that is right for them. We're here to transform what education means, not fix a broken system.
I know how I grew up in a disadvantaged environment, not being able to go to libraries safely, access to things growing up in the apartheid era. Finding out who I was the most important thing. As a young kid having access to only Encyclopedia Britannica, when I found out who I was, what I was passionate about and could follow that, nothing could stop me.
ODIN education is all about discovering the child. How we've actually done this is providing safe, secure, sustainable access to the tools and resources out there. So what we do is we deploy not only hardware like a device, connectivity, security, we have a learner management system, support for every learner. And what's been really exciting for us is that our learners spend between an hour and a half and 2 hours every day on average across our network, irrespective of their backgrounds. That's better engagement than YouTube has. Our first attempt in India went incredibly successfully, and the model was replicatable and scalable. So we've always had scale in mind, We're a company that sells a production line to China. We're a company that deploys a lights out line to VW in Germany. I mean, just think what that means. We're not here just to kind of solve a local problem. We're here to create a solution for the world.